Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be going through my old sketchbook, which, yes, I did backwards because I'm a nerd. I have a new setup actually on my desk. I cleaned it all off and now it's all nice and pretty, so let's get to it then. This first page is actually not my first drawing in this sketchbook. I tore out a few pages beforehand because I didn't like the drawing. But I think these ones came out okay. These were some of my old Oseas. So yeah. Then this, I couldn't quite get this character right. I don't remember her name. But I drew her with blue hair, with black hair, and this was the version of me that I drew a lot. I took out another picture here. Ignore that. Here's some random practice. Keep in mind, these were at the beginning of last year, so these are quite old. This one, I couldn't quite figure out how bodies were supposed to work, and here's when I finally started practicing, like, how hair is supposed to work. Water. These three were using references, and this one was my own attempt, which it didn't turn out very well, especially considering what I can do now. And here is another one of my attempts. Didn't turn out how I wanted it, and the feet were some reason turned in. I don't remember what this was, but apparently she's wearing a corset backwards. And this is the start of the era when I first started to draw a different type of eye, how I drew eyes differently, and how I drew hands differently, although these are very poor examples. This is an unfinished drawing that I actually got an idea from someone else. I don't like it. And I remember I wanted to, in middle school, I used to have a whole bunch of pictures that was a really loud whistle from my teeth. I used to have a whole bunch of pictures that were add your own blank, and this was this year's version of it, which I actually need to do one for this year. This is something that my senpai drew for me in my own sketchbook, and I actually really like it. It makes me really happy. Ooh. This is not nudity. She has no gender, but I drew this character as practice for the female body, but couldn't do ears, or eyes, or anything for that matter. This one, however, I'm very proud of. I think the nose and mouth were decent for the era, the hand was okay for the time I was at, and the shading on the skin was pretty good for the fact that I only had one skin color. Here is a lapis drawing. I don't like it. A vent page for me and my friend, well, my friends and I. And, so, this is all of our different reactions to things. You can see a whole bunch of my old you can see a whole bunch of my friends' old styles. That was my sister. I have one of my old chibi styles, my old main style, my senpai's style, and my friend, I'll call her M here, her style here. First down up shot. Not the best. This is supposed to be of Kara in a skirt. Not the best. This is whenever I start practicing on both pages. So I had this one, which was supposed to be a back shot of someone running. It did not turn out as planned. This is nothing. I was testing out a new set of Copic markers I had got. But this actually wasn't too long ago. I want to say it was about last like the end of last summer. So this is starting in on this new school year. Some practice with elf ears, which honestly is turning out better. Here is all the colors I had at that time, and my pens, and my highlighters, and all their mixtures. And this is a blank page. I started off drawing a mermaid. I didn't like how it turned out, and this was the result. So yeah. This picture. I am very, very proud of this picture. This was right around the time when DDLC first came out, and I had pretty much instantly gotten addicted to it because it's a horror video game posed as a romance visual novel. I mean, that's kind of a big thing for me. But this was also the first time I ever tried drawing a pleated skirt. And it turned out so much better than I could have ever hoped, especially for my style at the time, and it made me so happy to see it turn out like this. So, and then that's how you know that I was still working. This is a very old character. This is a vent drawing of I was not in a happy place, so I drew sad art. Another vent drawing, and I had ripped out a picture here apparently. I had gotten frustrated with people telling me that she's not thin enough, she isn't wearing enough clothes, I don't like how the angle looks on her. So my reaction was to draw this. It's what it is. I'll keep it at that. It's what it is. This was more practice, just general practice. And here is my big practice page. I had originally planned on getting into animation, so I had done some basic practice of different eyes and mouths and different sounds that said mouths would make. And I studied my body and how people talked for hours to get this. But this is definitely one of my longer practice projects. This one, relatively newer character. This was one of the very first drawings of a new character that I have. And as you can see, it's unfinished, but I think it turned out pretty well. And of course, some posing and hand practice. I'm quite proud of these, actually. These didn't turn out as bad as I thought they did. And my mom challenged me to draw someone sitting cross-legged. These are my 2 attempts, and I gave up. And this is a character I had planned on doing. I planned on making a character based off this, but this character actually not only switched genders, but changed to a different character that I now mostly roleplay with. Vole, he was originally meant to be the backwards of love, but I didn't like how that looked, so I changed it a bit, so it's messed up love. Anyway. And this is Leo from a very, very old roleplay that I did, and I went back through and I reread it, and I love the character. I had actually started writing a book on her, and I love this character. I still love this character. And this character's foot is backwards. But I absolutely love her, and I plan on including her in possible future videos, but she is the goddess embodiment of Leo, so I love her. She's amazing. And this is one of my newest characters, Agate, my little drow child. She is my D&D character, actually. And then I was showing how I figure out how bodies work when posing. If I can't figure it out, it's like I'll draw the skeleton inside on a separate page, most likely on like a sheet of printer paper, and then throw it away, so that's why you don't have very many in here. A imaginary scene between my character and one of my ex's, now friend character. He is a tiefling, I am drow, it works. This is the good luck amulet that I had done for my character, although it's not that great. And someone couldn't tell the difference between a guy and a girl, so I drew this, in my style, I mean. And this is a very terrible practice and failing of an art thing I tried to do. I tried to do one scene where my character, had stood up on a table and was dancing and singing in front of a crowd, and she got everyone really excited and earned a decent amount of gold from this, but I couldn't draw it, especially the ear. And more posing practice. This drawing I'm actually really proud of, because this is whenever I started to actually get into learning how to do proper pleated skirts and how to do two characters properly interacting in an environment. So, this character, who has evolved into a new character in my new sketchbook, I probably have a sketch of him later on, comforting this character who is a nobody, just a base character that I had thought of. This is the start of my only male character, the start of my fascination for pleated skirts, and the start of most demonic characters that I have, of like these faceless, nameless characters that I call them watchers. You'll see more pictures of watchers in my later sketchbook tour videos, but this is the very start of the watchers. This was meant to be Angelica and Eliza, because this was whenever I first started getting into Hamilton, and it did not turn out as planned, and I tried posing with a different body shape. That's that picture. I don't think it turned out well, but I also did the non-binary flag. This was hand practice. I was trying to figure out how, like, Agate's gloves and bandages would work, because I have it canon that her hands are covered in scars. Her hands and arms are covered in scars from bites, so they're constantly covered in bandages. But on top of those bandages is a thick, like glove-like thing, which is exactly what this is. It's just a thick glove. I call it a sleeve, and it's part of just a pair of sleeves that goes up to her bicep. Not that important. This is a scene from the Adventure Zone. Before I started getting into D&D, and as I was going through it, I'm still in it, but I've mostly finished this. I started listening to a podcast called The Adventure Zone, and this is a scene from that, and I absolutely love this picture, although I think the stomach area could have been done better, but I like it. I think it's good. This is a lyric drawing, which I do a lot, where I take a lyric from a song that I really like, and I draw a corresponding picture. That only makes sense if you know about the corresponding animation in my head, which you do not, so this makes no sense. I tried drawing realism of a guy in my class. Don't worry, this looks nothing like him, and it was a complete and total fail. But I also tried drawing hands in different poses. This was during whenever I was just starting into getting into fan art for DDLC, or Doki Doki Literature Club from earlier. I don't like this one, because I don't think it properly portrays the characters, and it's not finished. And I drew this for my history teacher. We were having a unit about the Dust Bowl during the Great Depression, and I drew this for her because she had no proper way of explaining, like, how the U.S. reacted to the Dust Bowl whenever it came to telling people properly about it and what to watch out for. So I drew this, and she was like, yes, exactly, that's exactly what it is. So I felt happy that I could convey that. More Hamilton. Helpless. Some practice sketches I did for a project, which actually I really love this style, and you can see I stick with it a bit more throughout later, but it turns out okay. The very first installation of my D&D character's sister, and this is all you're going to get for that. because most of it's in a different book. A scene from a role play. If you know what this is, you're amazing. Some basic posing practice. A failed AU idea. This was my first drawing where I tried to draw an animal. Like, actually tried. It didn't work. Anyway. This was for a female Alexander Hamilton. Did not work. One person in my class saw that I drew characters that were pretty busty, specifically this character. And he was like, "She has big boobs, holy cow." And this was my response: "Don't judge my character's boobs, I will make them bigger, watch me." And then I drew an idealized version of myself, which I do not draw anymore because it makes me sad. This was whenever I first got my micron pens in, I think. And I was testing the different sizes. One of them actually came in broken. Female Solix, because I decided I wanted to draw Homestuck, even though I'm really old into that fandom now. And this picture makes me so happy because I love the way it turned out. I love the detailing in the hair, even though it's messy. I love how the blackness, like you can actually see it flowing down the face instead of it just stopping at the edge. And I love how the bandages just are there. I just love this picture. More posing practice. See, you can see I actually did stick with it for a bit. This is a Hamilton character. Surprise, surprise, more Hamilton. And then for these last few pages, I drew some ideas for outfits for some of my friends in my class. Gonna have to censor that last part. But yeah, that is my sketchbook. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!